When you first watched this clip, you might have noticed that there was one place in the scene where there is an overlap, where one actor says the same thing twice on top of herself. Just to remind you, let's play it.
A bit too far.
Are you a friend of hers?
I'm her new housekeeper.
Oh.
Okay, it's this section about housekeeping. Now, what in the world does this mean?
I'm her new housekeeper.
You've got the same thing going here and here, but they're clearly from different takes. This is 26B1, and this is 26A6. So, there's some weirdness happening. Well, whenever this happens, it probably means that the picture editor is trying to tell you something. And so it's your job to sort of figure out what's happening and why certain choices were made. So I want to listen to the tail of this. We already have the head of this, so we know what's going on. What I like to do, though, is before I start moving things, I like to just put a mark. See, I have a mark right there that merely tells me this is where things started. So if I get lost, I have some breadcrumbs that will take me home. So let's see what actually happened here and why certain choices might have been made. So we're going to solo that.
I'm her new housekeeper. I'm her new housekeeper.
Okay, then let's listen to this.
I'm her new housekeeper.
Okay, again.
I'm her new housekeeper. I'm her new housekeeper.
Okay. I'm not really sure why they did that, but they did that. So let's try to figure out what we want to do. We know we can't use this because they simply categorically don't want it. So we'll get rid of that. I'll open it up just a bit here. Now, let's see what happens in Syncland. This is housekeeper. So let's see.
I'm her new housekeeper.
Okay, it doesn't work. This is... Okay, this is the S of house. This is the beginning of house. Up here we have... This is the sibilant here. This is the sibilant here. We are clearly not lined up. We have to figure out which of these shots, this or this, is actually the sync shot. Right now we don't know, so we really don't know who to trust as far as sync. Here is a picture shot. It starts here, it goes to something like there. We need to figure out whose shot is it. Does this sound belong to this cut, or does this sound belong to this cut? The way to do that is to find the picture cut, which I cleverly have done. Notice that it's at 1003915. Now we go to the EDL and we look, okay, it's a video shot that starts at 1003915. There it is. It runs from 3915 to 4123, and it is in fact shot 26B take 1. Let's look at this. This is 26B1. So it means that all of this is fake and that this has to be the sync reference. Now we know what to line up to. This sound has to sync to this rather than the other way around. In other words, this can't change. This has to change. So let's see how in the world we're going to do that. Let's look at the reference here and see what its sync is. Well, as you can see, they start off pretty well. This is the beginning, this is the beginning. It looks pretty good. The problem is this fake line is being spoken too quickly. This and this need to line up. What we're probably going to end up doing is some form of time expansion compression. However, before you can do that, you need to make a copy of the thing that you're going to change. Move it, copy it, done. Mute it. Now, let's do our little time compression thing and just see how it works. I'm just going to try something arbitrary. It's not so bad. It starts relatively good and it ends relatively good. Not bad. Now let's say, though, that I didn't like this. Let's say it was too much, it was too little, it was too. There's a strong temptation to grab your tool again and change it. Don't do that. If you're using this tool or a tool like it and you don't like what you did, undo it and start from scratch. Or if you've done a bunch of changes and you forgot, oh, I did a change on top of a change, go back to this original, because time expansion compression is a thoroughly brutal process that can cause all sorts of pains onto your sound. It's bad enough that you do it once, but to do bad on top of bad on top of bad is crazy. So keep an original, keep an original, keep an original. Okay, let's see what happens now if we, I don't know, let's just do an edit and see what we get here. Let's try this. I have no idea if it's going to work, but let's give it a try. And let's make our cut right here. Again, not a clue, but let's find out.
I'm her new housekeeper.
Okay, now housekeeper's a little weird, but that's easily fixed. So let's zoom in. See, here's the same, you get the same attack twice. So for sake of discussion, now that I know it's going to work, I'm going to move this back to where it belongs and use a much shorter transition. Let's see if this works.
Hers?
I'm her new housekeeper.
Oh.
It's not bad. There's a little bit of double voicing, meaning she sounds like a Tibetan monk doing two things at the same time. Normally, people can only breathe once at a time. People can only say words one at a time. And so when you're editing, don't have a voice on top of a voice. Don't have a breath on top of a breath or a breath on top of a voice, because that's not how people talk. Let's move this around a bit and see what we like better.
I'm her new housekeeper.
Pretty good. Now, you could, if you want to play around with the dynamics of this, you could, for example, move the edit, let's say, to here, and just see what happens.
I'm her new housekeeper. I'm her new housekeeper.
Now the change is a little bit before ha. It's slightly different. It's a nuanced thing. I would say this works, that works, whichever you think sounds better. So this is an example of when you have to do an edit, your timing is off, you need to understand why you're being asked to do this, you need to learn what is your sync reference, and once you do that, the actual execution isn't so hard. Now I want to look at her sync just once.
I'm her new housekeeper.
Sync is fine. I'm her new has always been the only words that were in sync question. Remember I marked the original cut at the very beginning of this process? There it is. This is where the cut is. So we know that this is where the old audio cut was. This is absolutely going to be in sync. This now is in sync because it referenced to this. So we're done.